Good morning to all of you. So good morning to all of you and hearty welcome to all of you to this 44th Board of Management meeting. We have almost all the members. It is in full quorum today. We have Professor P.H. Chowdhury online and we have Chakravarti from TCS online. And we are expecting Dr. Sharath and Dr. Prasad to join us anytime now. So also we would be having our chairman and vice chairman sooner. Today we have already present right from yesterday evening Professor Devarajan over here and a very, very new, dynamic, state-of-the-art person in computer science and engineering, Professor L.M. Patnaik. Professor L.M. Patnaik is over here. I was just expecting chairman and vice chairman to join and then others to join before I could ask my member secretary, the Honorable Registrar, to welcome all of us formally, but nevertheless I shall go ahead, I shall request member secretary, registrar to formally begin this meeting by formally inviting all of them. Thank you very much. Before I speak about Professor L.M. Patnaik, on behalf of the entire BOM, it is my pleasure to place on record the services rendered by Dr. T.S. Rao. Dr. T.S. Rao completed his term as the member of this board of BOM, and he has contributed heavily, very much in all the activities of board of BOM, and he after entering the service, after completing his term, he accepted to remain as an advisor. Remain as advisor for us, and we shall have Dr. Sharath. So all of us record the services of Dr. T.S. Rao by placing our appreciation with one round of claps. I shall not introduce Professor L.M. Patnaik because Professor L.M. Patnaik is not just limited only to Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Professor L.M. Patnaik's name is very much evident to anybody, particularly in the area of computer science and engineering. Professor L.M. Patnaik has a distinct existential property that Professor L.M. Patnaik is totally indigenous. Genius indigenously. Professor L.M. Patnaik's entire education has been in India, but his presence has been felt internationally. Professor L.M. Patnaik's simplicity could be understood by talking to his colleagues in Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and also by talking to his students. Professor L.M. Patnaik, in a way, is a mentor figure for me. Had I been a full-time student at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, he would have been my teacher. Nevertheless, he was one strong person who had compelled me to join Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore as faculty. But then, just because Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore happened to be in Bangalore, I did not want to join any organization in Bangalore, including Infosys. But Professor L.M. Patnaik was so very well known to us at Mysore. He would definitely come to Mysore quite often, and it has been always illuminating to listen to his lectures. Professor L.M. Patnaik is so simple, and in fact, I have experienced how simple this great gentleman is all through my life. And the recent experience which was just about 5, 6 months ago, makes me very, gives me a very vibrating experience. We were together for some conference at Mangalore, and he was the keynote speaker, and I was also there as a part of the VIPs to inaugurate that conference. And then I said, Professor L.M. Patnaik, you should step onto the stage first. And then he said, now you should step onto the stage first. I said, you are my teacher, you are going to step on. Then he said, you are the present generation, you should step on. All right? And in this we spent enough time, and people were, all of them were watching both of us, what is going to happen. And then with all my freedom that I have with Professor L.M. Patnaik, we said we both shall walk together onto the stage. The point I'm mentioning over here is a very great man, and probably you should understand that it is the greatest person who shall have time for a very small thing and who shall have a big place in the small heart for a very small people. So it is always only great people, busiest people, who will have time for a very small thing and a very small person, and at the same time, heart is obviously small, but they have a very big place even for a small person, and that is what is Professor L.M. Patnaik. Professor L.M. Patnaik's resume, I shall not read or I shall not mention about it, because nowadays you know that people would have already Googled about Professor L.M. Patnaik, and they will not be, they would definitely be able to understand what Professor L.M. Patnaik is here. So just now I was telling that Professor L.M. Patnaik belongs to that cult of people who have the time for a very small thing and who have got the place in the heart for a very small man like me. So that was a very interesting time. In fact, on the stage, we were about 4 generations sitting together. Professor L.M. Patnaik, the generation of my guide, right, my mentor, and then my student, Dr. D.S. Guru, was sitting, and then his student was also there. So there were 4 generations we were together on the stage. Okay. It was always fascinating for me to spend time at IISc with Professor L.M. Patnaik. Of course, I was very equally associated with Professor M. Narsimurthy. Professor L.M. Patnaik, basically from Orissa, but then he was so much Bangaloreized, being in Bangalore, that many companies knew him very well. Almost all DRDO labs knew him very well. And in fact, it was AACT which has used his service very richly. Professor L.M. Patnaik is an excellent addition to our BOM, specifically because of his involved interest in computer science and engineering. Name the area in computer science and engineering, you can always see Professor L.M. Patnaik's contribution over there. Professor L.M. Patnaik did not just stop at PhD, he has also got a DSc from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Right? Professor L.M. Patnaik is varied. Professor L.M. Patnaik, I shall not tell that he got a lot of fellowships. Many fellowships got decorated because Professor L.M. Patnaik accepted those fellowships. The counts of fellowships are innumerable. He is called any fellowship, he is the fellow of that academic body, that society. Professor L.M. Patnaik has got plenty of awards. In fact, his resume cannot just be read and cannot just be remembered because his resume overflows with the accolades. The advantage of bringing Professor L.M. Patnaik to this institution is only to make this institution understand what has got to be the goalpost. We have been kicking the ball, and we think wherever the ball is kicked, the goalpost lies over there. But then the presence of Professor L.M. Patnaik here will certainly tell you to what level one has got to reach, and particularly the School of Computing and Informatics has got to reach. Professor L.M. Patnaik, he said, where I requested him to become the member of BOM, but in fact, never had he quizzed me so much before accepting to become the member of this BOM. I never had seen this facet of Professor L.M. Patnaik, who would ask me a lot of questions, because never did he ask any questions. He was feeling so comfortable to talk to me, but then he went on asking about the institution, about the commitment of the institution, about the progress of the institution, and the real punch question was, why did you join this institution? All right, when I mentioned why did I join the institution, he immediately said, okay, I shall be there and I shall be of any help that you would expect. Professor L.M. Patnaik adjusted his entire timing to be present for the first meeting. He wanted to be present in the first meeting himself physically, although he had many other commitments. He kept them aside just to accept and meet all of you and meet all of us. The moment Professor L.M. Patnaik came over here during the morning breakfast, he just mentioned, I would love to spend time with School of Computing and School of Informatics, and I shall also love to spend the time with Electronics and Electrical Department, all circuit branches. That's his commitment, a true teacher to the core. Even today, he is a faculty member, okay? So Professor L.M. Patnaik is over here, and I'm very sure all of you would have gone through his resume through Google. I'm sure, at least after listening to me, you would definitely go through his resume. Professor L.M. Patnaik has produced more than 30 PhDs, and we shall not speak about the H index, I-10 index, or citation index, because the H index, I-10 index, and citation index of your institution will look an ant to the elephant-sized performance of a single individual. Your collective wisdom, your collective capability over these 20 years cannot even meet the individual capabilities of either Professor Devarajan or Professor L.M. Patnaik, and that's the reason I shall not. But then, that's what I am just mentioning. These are the goal points. These are the goal posts which we have got to look at. So, the very presence of the people like Chaudhary, presence like Devarajan and Professor L.M. Patnaik over here, Dr. Sharath, though not an engineering graduate, but a medical graduate, and then we have Dr. Chakravarti from TCS, we have Reddy Garu from Andhra University. They are all going to be instrumental to prove to be very motivational for all of us. So here, with all my humble dignity, I present Professor L.M. Patnaik for his first meeting in our campus, Vignan, and here Professor L.M. Patnaik would be there guiding all of us with all other BOM members. Here is Professor L.M. Patnaik. In fact, BOM has many people who are for computing and informatics, Dr. Chakravarti, and then our Prasad Reddy Garu, and then Professor L.M. Patnaik, And if you count me as a computer science man, of course, I am also over there with you.
All are computer
All right.
science, but
Right, if you count me, yeah. Right, then, and our academic council also is equally strengthened in terms of computer science and electronic. We have inducted Dr. Srinivas Murthy, isn't it? Dr. Srinivas Rao, uh, uh, alumnus of IISc Bangalore and presently the professor at IIT Madras into academic council. So we should take the advantage of their presence. Exactly 1 year ago, on April 4th, I'm very sure Dr. Chaudhary would recall, and Professor Devarajan would recall, and Professor Shagat would recall, and more so my chairman, uh, 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 I dare to call him always as professor, okay? Chairman Professor Laugataya would definitely recall. And on that day we were missing only Professor Dr. Raghunathan here. We were missing, but in the chair was Dr. P.M.V. Rao on that day. I reported to this institution on April 4th. I demitted my office at IIIT Allahabad. By the way, he was the BOG member at the IIIT Allahabad before I was the director of IIIT Allahabad. Professor L.M. Patnaik was over there. So he has given the foundational strength and foundational building to IIIT Allahabad as the member of BOG, and then it was member of BOM also, isn't it? It was during the Govardhan Mehta's period? Before that, okay, right, beginning, okay, okay, right, then, right. So, on that day, I reported on April 4th, and we have completed 1 full year. This meeting is happening exactly after 10 days after this year. So I shall take the first 20 minutes now to make the presentation of how we have moved forward during this period. And I said how we have moved forward. Whether we have moved forward or whether we have moved backward has got to be decided by all board of members over here. So 1 year has just got rolled over. I reported on April 4, 2022. Remind you, just I have got only 4 more years to go. Well, it is all up to you to make use of how these 4 years of mine should get filled up. All right? My priorities are there, but the value for my priorities should become possible because of the valuable contributions and the valuable interest that you would exhibit. So 1 year has got rolled over and just 4 years to go, and I still remember the first day of the last year, and that evening when I spent more time with Professor B.V.R. Chaudhary and his wife at Vijayawada because he was so particular that I should meet him and talk to him. Dr. Sharat's very personal touch on that day, and Dr. Devarajan, the way he spent time, Dr. T.S. Rao, the way he spent time with me in the guest house, made me feel that I'm very, very well known to this institution. Coming over to Vignan was just an accidental happening. Let me very well emphasize this particular point. It was a very accidental happening. I think this is the time I should recall how my first love started with Dr. Nagabhushan Garu. It was one of the international conferences which was happening, and because I had the fellowship of that international association, I was asked to chair the session, and then I was the chief guest for that conference. It was the bad COVID time, so I said I shall deliver my lecture online, and I did not know that who is going to preside over the function. The gentleman who presided over the function was the chairman of Vignan group, Dr. Lavu Garu. So after my lecture, when Dr. Lavu Garu started speaking, I found that it was totally a different chairman of an institution speaking. Immediately, I asked my wife to come and listen to this lecture also. And she also came and she just told me, have you fallen in love with this gentleman? I'm not sure, but then it appears so, I told. And his speech was very attractive to me because he spoke as an academician, not as a political chairman of any institution, or not like a Swamiji, where most of the Swamijis happen to be the chairpersons of many universities. He was different, down to earth, and he ensured that his legs are on the earth, but his imaginations on education were flying above. So I really liked. And then just 2-3 days happened. I got a phone call when I was traveling. He wanted to talk to me. I got a phone call. And then I said, after I come back to IIIT Allahabad after my travel, I shall call. But then he had collected all the details. When I would be coming back to IIIT Allahabad, exactly within 1 hour I reached home, he called me. Rest became a history, and rest, Professor Devarajan was the chairman of the Search Cum Selection Committee. I did not know he also made the same mistake as Dr. Lavu Garu made in identifying that I should come over here. And that's the reason that I have been over here troubling the life of all other members other than the BOM members. So till now, I have a very, very pleasant experience. I definitely had a very pleasant experience. And the question people keep asking me is a question whether I have been happy over here. Please believe me, till now I do not have time even to think whether I have been happy or not. So I have been kept very busy. I don't think I will get that opportunity. No,
happy with you or not?
no, that about myself now. They, I know that they are not happy. Why should I? Why should I? When I know the truth that they are not happy, then why should I ask them whether they were happy or not? Okay, all right. It is always, one most important thing in India. A man becomes big after his death. Man becomes very big after the death. Till that he will be criticized, and even the hopeless man will become the best man after the death. And they go even to the extent of his loss is irreversible. Okay, nobody will be having the guts to tell that this is the right thing which has happened to him. He ought to have died. At least he died late. Well, it has happened. Nobody will tell. They tell that loss is irreversible. Okay, but anyhow, after the death, everybody would become very great. Okay, thanks to the honorable BOM members, and thanks to Professor L.M. Patnaik that he has been over here to listen to this 1 year story now. And I definitely thank Honorable Chairman, who is also incidentally Chancellor now, and I also should thank the then Chancellor who received me on that day. All right? And they have been putting me busy in moving from one target to the next target. Okay, I have been totally busy in just striding from one target to the other target. I have got to express my sincere thanks to the support rendered by all my deans, all heads of the departments, and all faculty who were along with me in implementing all these targets one by one. Our final target is naturally to make this institution Meru as per NEP 2020. Meru, it stands for Multidisciplinary Education and Research University. All right? I'm stressing on the point that it has got to become a research university. When I'm telling that it has got to become a research university, you should understand, all of us should understand, till now it has not been a research university. Right? It has been a university which has been enjoying by telling that so many people have been campus placed. But then campus placement automatically happens if you are a prima facie research university, and that's what has got to become. So it is multidisciplinary. Thanks to Dr. Lavurataya Garu, his vision that he has made this university a multidisciplinary university. I am going to speak that we are already having 7 diverse schools in these universities. So multidisciplinary and research university. So research should be the most happening and most natural one in the university. The absorption, the campus placement, the consideration of your people should happen because you have been contributing to the creation of knowledge, and therefore any employer should expect that these people have brought out with the right seeds for our organization. It is not that we paint them and we project them for an ordinary campus placement. Okay, that's what is happening as on day. We really try to paint them. We really try to give them some input just before getting into a training, just before getting into the campus placement interview. They have got to walk in naturally for any interview, and any of my candidates should be able to draw the interview person to his field of expertise, not that he should allow him to ask a question on whatever he likes. My candidate should be so strong, and that's what is going to happen provided the university becomes a full-fledged real research university and the domains from multidisciplinary. This is my final target, and this is what I have got to achieve in the next 4 years. Towards research. Towards research, we have already introduced different types of fellowships. Professor Devarajan would always be critical, and in all the meetings he would never allow any one of you to speak. All there would have been a lot of plus points, but today all board members would be listening to me because we have introduced different types of fellowships. We have introduced exclusive research assistant positions, ERA positions. We have introduced TRA positions, tutor cum research assistant position. We have also introduced CAP called contractual assistant professor, and all these have got a purpose, a double purpose, hitting with one stone, 2 targets. What is that, hitting one stone with 2 targets? One, to show that we have created our own fellowship schemes for all our research scholars. 2, all these people can be shown as assistant professors because we are not INI. In INI, institution of national importance, the entry-level assistant professor should have minimum PhD degree, but because you are not a INI, anybody without a PhD degree also can be an assistant professor. So all these ERAs, TRAs, and CAPs can be shown as assistant professors, and thereby we can meet the requirement as expected by NIRF, as expected by NAC, as expected by NBA, as expected by AACT to show the positions. Okay, so that is a twin advantage. But then these people have been so specifically chosen that their workload shall not be same as that of an assistant professor. It will be 50% less than that of a regular assistant professor, and all these people will be, even if they have been given some teaching load or working load, whatever it is, it shall be in one part of the day, and the remaining part of the day they have got to spend on research. We have introduced postdoctoral fellowship called TRF, Teaching Cum Research Fellowship. All of them will work in both the directions to show the number of faculty as well as to increase the internal research strength, right? So we have this. And then next, we have introduced several research grants. We thanks to Dr. Sharath, who is in our finance committee, who said that minimum 10% of the grant should be earmarked for all the research facility. We have introduced several research grant schemes. We have introduced seed grant support scheme for our doctoral assistant professors. Okay, we have also introduced follow-up research grants for our doctoral assistant professors. After completing the seed grant, if they want to follow up, we have got the follow-up research grants. We have also got the research grant for pursuing new research direction by associate professors and professors. If the associate professors and professors want to change the direction of their research, as to initiate that, we have got the research grant for pursuing new research direction by associate professors and professors. We have introduced the research grant schemes for UG, for PG, and PhD studies. You would be wondering why for UG, and in the coming slides it will become very clear why for UG also. So research grant scheme for UG, PG, and PhD scholars we have introduced, and this will definitely give a colorful wing to our research activity. We have a very, very brand new scheme to transform the working place into a researching place. Always, Professor Devarajan would be very critical that your external PhD scholars are useless. Of course, definitely, the purpose, if we just absorb the external PhD candidates and show here only as a count to show that PhD scholars have been over there, it is definitely useless. But then, the amount of experience that industry has got and the amount of challenges that the industry is facing, if they could be brought into the academic institutions, then naturally there shall be a very pleasant marriage. You should understand that the industries in USA have not been because of themselves, they have been because of universities. Industries in USA have been because of only universities, whereas here we unfortunately go with the begging bowls to these industries, asking for number one, the campus placement, asking for stupid MOUs so that we can display that we have got the MOUs with the industries. But the other hand, our model over here is to transform the working place to research place, because the general qualification level at any industry is only BTech plus. It has not even been MTech or MTech plus. Therefore, we want to extend the wings of the university by converting their place into a learning place for them and for the industry to come up. So we are going to recognize the focused research activities, focused developmental activities which are happening in the industry into culminating into the award of PhD degrees. So this is beneficial, it is win-win situation, it is going to help the GQI. GQI stands for Gross Qualification Index of the industry also. Towards this, the most important thing which has happened is, naturally, thanks to Dr. Lavu Rattaya Garu, who never debated on this issue, just accepted and gave a green signal when it was presented that we shall go for the 7th pay scale, although it is very late. So 8th pay scale is due, is around 2026, but then we have just introduced 7th pay scale. We have introduced the 7th pay scale, which is akin to 4-tier flexi scheme of institutions of national importance, which is in existence in all IITs, NITs, IIITs, and at IISc also. But we have intelligently introduced a level 10 minus. A level 10 minus has been introduced because we wanted to take the advantage of non-PhD holders to be inducted into the university, because only PhDs is our requirement, but then only PhDs we cannot be able to fill up. Particularly, we cannot run computer science department and electronics department, although we can run a civil department, mechanical department, any other department, but it becomes difficult for computer. That is where we intelligently and cunningly we have introduced level 10 minus, and this level 10 minus is for ERAs, TRAs, and our cap activities. Okay, so this will all be at contractual level. So level 10 minus, and level 10 is the entry level assistant professor, level 11 is the senior level assistant professor, and level 12 is the selection grade assistant professor. Level 10 to 12 exactly same as 7th pay scale, as paid by institution of national importance under the 4-tier flexi scheme. Exactly, we have not reduced any term, but only difference, again a bit cunning, the DA was 0 in January 2016, but we made it 0 in August 2000 now, because we just introduced 7th pay scale. Professor Devarajan, Professor Chaudhary, Professor L.M. Patnaik, all these academicians would be over happy because 7th pay scale in toto has been made applicable particularly for assistant professor position here in this university. Karnataka has entered, yeah, but private institutions have not implemented. Government institutions, yes, yes, we have been. And he understood the pulse. When we presented it, he understood the pulse and he said, submit the document to me and I shall return the document on Thursday. I still remember when Vijay Kumar, I had made Professor Vijay Kumar our Dean of Faculty Affairs as a person, as the convener, and I asked him to present it, and then after presenting it and said, present the document to me. I still remember it was Tuesday evening, the document was presented. He said he will send it back on Thursday. He was not there in station, but the document returned back to us with his acceptance, and then we went ahead and implemented it. Okay, so kudos to the vision that he has. Okay, and then we could not implement. Come back. We could not implement the pay scales as applicable to associate professor directly, but we could meet it indirectly because we broke that level 13 into two levels called level 13A1 and level 13A2. One is associate professor and senior associate professor, and senior associate professor is approximately equivalent to the regular associate professor of 7th pay scale. So we broke that, so we made the pedestal 2 levels so that people can walk through that. Right, but our conditions are very same as INI, okay? But if the one has got to get into any other level, they have got to satisfy whatever is expected of at a INI, right? Our professor on paper will be equivalent to the professor at any IIT on paper, right? Today people will always think about money first and then show me the money, then I will show how much I have got to put in the work, right? Gone are those days when we never thought about money. I remember when Professor L.M. Patnaik, to me as a young man, he was telling, at Mysore, in Hotel Ramya, he told me, look, if you are not happy with the money, you quit the job. You go somewhere. Bangalore is so much, lot of opportunities are there for you if you want to make money. But if you want to be in academy, you should forget about what those people are going to pay you. You have got to work. Whether it is government or whatever it is, you have got to work. And that's what I have been always telling you people. If you are unhappy with the salary, please go and have a fight with Professor Lavu Rattaya Garu. But once you have accepted work and work, passion has got to be only work if you have accepted that. Okay? So we have the 4-tier flexi. I'm very happy about this. Why am I spending so much of time over here is, ultimately my target is to make it a Meru and a research university. Once you have got to make it a research university, my faculty should not be worried about small things like salary. Because a brain, a mind which is not involved in planning the salary will be the mind which will be focusing on the research. That's the only purpose, right? Then please go to the next slide. True. I mentioned one more important line. 8th pay scale is around 2026. The unhappiness starts setting from 2026. Okay? So we have got to understand the ground truth. Okay? Annual increment is, this is exactly the model by Dr. Lavu Rattaya Garu. It is performance-linked increments. He said, don't just give the increment like central government would give. If he is really a performing person, why should you not give more increment, right? So maximum as on day is 4% of the basic pay, and he said 4% of the basic pay need not be the limitation. It can even go to 5% of the basic pay. So maximum is 4%. Minimum is 1% of the basic pay. And you know the central government has given a normal increase of 3% of the basic pay. So annual increment is automatic, but it is performance linked. Okay? So you would be deciding what should be your increment. DA is as and when announced by the central government. HRA is 9%. CAS is career advancement scheme for faculty and staff similar to open selection process. CAS is not just a process. It is similar to open selection process. I am repeatedly telling that you have got to get selected as in any IIT or as in any IISc, okay? All right. So this is to make it a good research university. The most important thing which has happened, the greatest thing which has happened in this university is they are the first set of, this is the first institute amongst all institutes, particularly amongst private universities. It is NEP compliant teaching learning process in place. NEP compliant teaching learning is in place. It is real continuous learning. It is real continuous assessment, not the old model of examination based, question paper setting based, examination based, and that to annual ritual, semester end ritual of examination. It is continuous learning and continuous assessment.
No, it's fine, but outcome based is very important.
Of course, yes, yes, yes,
You assess that.
yes. Why 1 year? We are going to give now, today we are going to give, all right, okay. Today we have the real experiential learning centric rather than rote learning examination centric. Experiential learning centric rather than rote learning examination centric. It is creative and critical thinking and applicative centric. In fact, NEP tells that the higher education, please note that higher education should start with application of the knowledge, right? Unfortunately, earlier you were associated with understanding and the first level itself of Bloom's taxonomy. It has got to start from third level of Bloom's taxonomy. That means the first and the second level of Bloom's taxonomy should automatically have been a subset in going forward with the higher education, right? So that's what your chairman also mentioned on the other day. Core knowledge is essential and core knowledge has got to be mastered, okay? Right. So we have formative assessment 60%, not internal assessment anymore. It is formative assessment and it is summative assessment. I shall not get into the details because I am sure Dean AAA would be presenting what we have achieved. Formative assessment 60% weightage, summative assessment 40% weightage, and over time formative assessment and summative assessment would get fused and it shall be 100% assessment over time. We have the conventional, please go ahead. We have the conventional BTech program, which anybody would get after he completes the requirement of 160 credits. We have the minor specialization or research by 20 credits. Minor and or specialization or research. We have, if somebody does not want to do minor, somebody does not want to do specialization, if somebody does not want to go for research, if somebody wants to have a mix up all these, in the additional 20 credits he will get an add-on diploma. Otherwise, those who cannot complete 20 credits, if they try their effort to go up to 20 credits, they will get add-on certification. Preferences for self-learning through NPTEL and MOOCs will be are encouraged for the online online minor and online add-on diploma activities. Our specialty is, please go next quickly. Our specialty is, we will not tell anybody as a failure. No failure class. No person joins this institute to get this brand cut that he is a failed candidate. No failure class. Attendance requirement is 75% in every course. Unsuccessful in formative assessment, he will be called as a repeat, he will be put into repeat grade, not a failure, repeat grade. And unsuccessful in summative assessment will be incomplete grade. Focus on enhancing the originality in academic performance. Next point, summer semester to complete the R grade. R grade, summer semester is specially designed to complete the R grade. Provision in all semesters to complete I grade, incomplete grade. Fully, as you, Professor Devarajan, as you mentioned, fully Bloom's taxonomy compliant and OBE compliant, outcome-based education compliant. The mapping has been so perfect. I'm very sure Dean AAA in his presentation will be speaking how we have achieved this mapping of Bloom's taxonomy.
System is fully flexible.
Of course, it is fully flexible system. It is autonomous to the teacher as well as to the student, particularly the choice of minor, the choice of this. I think we have about how many? 38 or 36 minor streams, isn't it? 34 minor streams. Okay. Okay. The next interesting point is I have spent this entire 1 year having periodic interaction, not with management, with all faculty. I have met all faculty at least 2 times. Every faculty individually at least 2 times. And I have spending minimum 10 minutes with every faculty member. And I have spent time with all first year and second year students because we had to introduce this continuous assessment and continuous learning system where up to +2 they were with the useless stupid examination oriented system. They had to be changed from that into the learning mode. So I have spent time with all first year and second year students. From today onwards, Dr. Rukmini, who is the Dean of Student Affairs, has taken 1.5 hours to 2 hours of time from every week, and I shall be spending with selected 20 candidates from the institution to interact with them. Whatever they like to ask, they can ask. It is like Vice-Chancellor's Man Ki Baat with those people, uh, 20, and they have to advance book for this slot, and every week I am going to spend. And I have spent time with all research scholars. As I mentioned earlier, please go next quick. As I mentioned earlier, departments have been clustered into 7 schools, sir. This is naturally, sir, is an inspiration drawn from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. 7th school, we have School of Computing and Informatics. We have School of Biotechnology and Pharmaceutical Science. Thanks to Professor Sharath, who was recently in the meeting with us, we are extending this school to include post-BSc paramedical diploma programs also. School of Core Engineering, and School of Core Engineering consists of civil engineering, mechanical engineering, textile engineering, chemical engineering, all those. School of Law and Management, School of Agri-Food Science and Technology, School of Applied Sciences and Humanities, School of Electrical, Electronics and Communication Engineering, and these are the schools. In addition to that, we have 2 directorates. One is for distance and online education, and the other one is polytechnic and diploma education. We have kept them separate from the schools because they should not influence these schools, and they should also not get influenced because of these schools, because the way the polytechnic and diploma, the target of polytechnic and diploma education is entirely different, and the target of distance and online education also has got to be entirely different. So we have kept them as 2 directorates. I am very sure these 2 directorates would come into a bigger picture in the days to come, right? Oh, next, the most interesting thing, beyond 8 hours of work per day, beyond 8 hours of work per day, we want them to encourage, but we will not let them go just with the work. We have said beyond 8 hours of work, they will be credited compensatory CL. It's called CCL, which is rollable for 1 year. If they earn a CCL in this month, say April 2023, that CCL can be utilized by April 2024. So rollable CCL. So beyond 8 hours of work, for every 8 hours of additional 8 hours of work, they get a CCL. So this has drastically and dramatically increased the participation not only by students but also our faculty, right? Okay, labs, libraries, sports, classrooms are all open from morning 8 a.m. to evening 8 p.m., right? But then I want 24 hours. I want no light to be switched off in any department, but then at least this is what has happened now, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. the things have been opened. Now please, an exclusive deanship we have got for technology development, and the dean, technology development, has been creating campus internships. This is where our young technocrats, our young budding student would learn by doing and do by learning. They learn by doing and they do by learning. And this is what is the new trend which is happening, right? And I understand this campus internship itself has been one minor program that he has thought of, okay? Dr. Ravi Shekhar is our Dean Technology Development. We have MOUs. We have three types of MOUs. Number one, to receive new directions from the lead universities. We want to receive the new direction. We want to receive the new direction from the corporate world and from the R&D institutes. That's one. And the other type of MOU is to grow with the peer universities. And third type of MOU is to handhold the young and upcoming institution. So we have three types of MOUs. So we are signing three types of MOUs. We want to learn and we also want to teach. We also want to walk along with our peers. This is going to enable much spoken credit transfer activities, okay? Learn by credit transfer activities. This is what are the intentions of this MOU. Finally, please come over. Taxiing is just got over. At the end of the first year, I'm very confident that I tell taxiing has just got over. Now is the time to take off. But I'm very sure any aero engineer will definitely tell the maximum energy, the maximum fuel consumption, the maximum attention is required not in taxiing but in takeoff. Okay? This is a time that our maximum energy, maximum attention, maximum focus will be going in, and this is the year of takeoff. Now is the time to take off. Then we hope we keep flying. Right? Before I conclude, we have gone in for such a, in a growth, this university is in the growth phase, and now when we were in the growth phase, as you have seen, we have been aggressive in the choice of our growth pointers, but now we want to consolidate, right? We also wish to consolidate now, and this is the year that I have got to focus on consolidating, right? I am aware, and I am sure my team is aware, that if we do not know where we are going, every road will not lead us anywhere. So we have got to know where we are going. I am very much aware. This time, my attention is to study the behavioral and attitudinal problem of all our faculty, and I have got to go along with them. I want to work on the strength of everybody. I shall not work on the weakness of anybody, because the weakness of somebody is always a plus point, because that allows me to make use of the strength of some other person to cover the weakness of the other person. So I would be very, very happy. Before I conclude, I just please do not add any value to this. I just wanted to share it. This I picked it up from a book called Reflections in Time. I'm very sure Dr. Nagabhushan Garu will also like this. People are unreasonable. People are illogical. People are self-centered. Love them anyway. This is my way I would like to approach. People are unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish and ulterior motives, which Professor L.M. Patnaik has experienced all through his life. And I have also experienced it particularly in Mysore. Professor L.M. Patnaik always swam across the current. He never had any current in favor of his swimming direction, right? So also I had to swim across the current, against the current. So if you do good, people will accuse you of selfish ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Isn't it, Professor L.M. Patnaik? If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. I know very well. I was telling at IIIT Allahabad, you will forget me the moment I demit my office. You will just ignore me the moment you demit my office, because you will be more interested in finding out who is the next director, because our whole trend is only to please the next director. No way I would expect any big difference over here. But if you do good today, it will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway, all right? Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. I'm very sure the members of BOM know very well. In my first opening day itself, I mentioned that My whole hallmark will be honest and I will be frank. Okay? Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest men with the biggest ideas can be shot down by the smallest men with the smallest mind. Think big anyway. People really need help, but may attack you if you help them. Help them, help people anyway. This shall be my motto, my commitment, and I know that this time I got to take the aeroplane to take off, and as I said, takeoff takes the maximum energy, requires the maximum attention because takeoff has got to be successful. Thank you very much for this wonderful year, and thank you very much that I had my mentor, Professor L.M. Patnaik, to listen to this story and take me forward for the next 4 years. And thanks very much to Devraj and Professor Devraj and Chaudhary Garu who have been over here. Thanks to, I see more a friend in Dr. Sharat. I see more a young friend in Dr. Chakravarti. I always see a very wonderful companion with Dr. Reddy Garu. Thank you very much for all your august presence. And more so, my humble and very sincere thanks to the youngest man here in the campus, Dr. Lavu Gattaya Garu. Thank you.